This is for educational use only. Our group is allowing our instructor, Mr. Roldan Ardinis, to use this as an educational material. Good day everyone. So for today's video, I will discuss about the history or stages of global media and culture. So the key topics. First is the definition of media, culture and media culture. Second one is globalization in media. Next is 5 periods in the study of globalization in media. The last is analyze how various media drive various forms of global integration. So first is globalization. So globalization is a term used to describe how trade, technology have the world into a more connected and the interdependent place. So globalization also captures in its scopes the economic and social changes that have come about as a result. Broadcast media plays a crucial role in globalization by facilitating cultural exchange, information flows, and the dissemination of content across borders. Global broadcast methods have evolved to efficiently reach diverse audiences worldwide, transcending national boundaries. And social media has been enabled us to connect with people all over the world, breaking down geographic barriers and facilitating cross-cultural exchange. So with the click of a button, we can now share photos, videos, and messages with friends and family on the other side of the globe. Culture. So, cultural globalization refers to the transmission of ideas, meanings, and values around the world in such a way as to extend and intensify social relations. This process is marked by the common consumption of cultures that have been diffused by the internet, popular popular culture, media, and international travel. So, unified style of human knowledge, beliefs, and behavior from which people learn, and the ability to communicate knowledge to the next generations. Its development has been mainly influenced by media. So, historically, media underwent 5 stages of development from the earliest forms to the complex ones, according to Yule 2014. So, first is oral communication, second one script, printing press, electronic media, and media. So, in oral communication, language allowed um, humans to communicate and share information. Language became the most important tool for exploring the world and the different cultures. So, script. Um, it allowed humans to communicate over a larger space and for a much longer duration. It allowed the permanent codification of cultural, economic, and political practice. So next is printing press. So it allowed the continuous production and circulation of print materials. Next is electronic media. It includes the telegraph, telephone, radio, film, and television. So the last one is the digital media. It allows the advertisement of products and online business transactions. So various media drive various form of global integration. So various media are used for globalization to work all over the world. So media plays a major role in globalization. So media components such as television, internet, computers, etc., and are considered to have a significant influence of globalization. So according to Peters 2014, asserts that the only outcomes of the influence of globalization on culture and cultural differentialism, cultural convergence, and cultural hybridity. So, first is cultural differentialism. So, it defines culture as a clearly bound entity with a specific global location. Diverse culture clearly have distinctions which allows observers to identify a specific component of a culture from another. So next is cultural convergence. This is what theory of convergence defines cultural convergence occurs when a culture learns towards becoming similar to another culture as a result of being exposed to the same cultural flows. The world is now a global village and the distance is no barrier. So the last one is cultural hybridization. It refers to the convergence of cultural different elements of a various culture. So these elements such as foods, language, fashion, or music are modified from one culture to adhere to cultural norms of another.
Discuss history, stage of global media and culture. Broadcast era in 28th century. Radio in 1920s. Radio broadcasting brought real-time news and entertainment to a global audience, creating a shared cultural experience across different regions. Television, 1950s. Television became a dominant medium for news, entertainment, and advertising, further globalizing culture exchange and shaping public perceptions. Digital era, late 20th century present. Internet and social media, 1990s to 2000s. The internet transformed how information is created, shared, and consumed. Social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram allowed for instant communication and global interaction. Streaming and digital content, 2000s present. Streaming services such as Netflix and YouTube have changed the landscape of consumption, providing on-demand access to global content and further blending cultural boundaries. Current trends and directions. Artificial intelligence and personalization. AI is increasingly used to personalize content and advertising, impacting how media consume and how cultural trends develop. Virtual reality and augmented reality. These technologies are starting to influence how immersive media experiences are created and consumed, potentially reshaping cultural interactions and media landscapes.
Good day, sir. So, my topic is there globalization without media? So, globalization. Globalization without media is theoretically possible, but it would be fundamentally different and significantly limited compared to what we understand as globalization today. So, media plays a crucial role in connecting different parts of the world by facilitating the rapid exchange of information, culture, and ideas. So, it amplifies the effects of globalization by making communication instantaneous and accessible across vast distance. Without media, the flow of information would be slow. The spread of cultural and economic influence would be restricted to direct face-to-face interaction and physical exchanges. So, in essence, while globalization could exist in the basic without media, it would lack the speed, breadth, and depth that characterize modern globalization. The interconnectedness of the world would be much less pronounced, and the global exchange of ideas, goods, and cultural practices would be severely constrained. Thank you.
Media globalizations can be seen as a form of cultural imperialism. Cultural imperialism refers to the dominance of one culture over others, often through media and other cultural products. When global media companies, particularly from powerful countries, dominate the market, they can spread their own cultural values and norms widely. This can overshadow local cultures, leading to the homogenization of cultural expression and potentially diminish cultural diversity. On the other hand, media globalizations can also foster cross-cultural exchange and understanding. It allows for sharing of diverse perspectives and can introduce audience to new cultural experience, whether it reinforces cultural imperialism or promotes genuine cultural exchange. Often depends on the dynamics between dominant and local cultures and how media content is received and adapted. Media globalizations can be seen as a form of cultural imperialism when dominant cultures, often from economically powerful nations, exert significant influence over other cultures through media. This influence can lead to overshadowing or erosion of local cultures, traditions, and values. Media globalizations can also foster cross-cultural exchange and understanding. It allows for sharing of diverse perspectives and can introduce audience to new cultural experience, whether it reinforces cultural imperialism or promotes genuine culture exchange. Often depends on the dynamics between dominant and local cultures.
Analyze how various media drive various forms of global integration. So various forms of media drive global integration in different ways. Social media. Platforms like Facebook and Twitter facilitate instant communication and cultural exchange across borders, promoting global awareness and collaboration. News media. Global news outlets provide real-time updates on international events, fostering a shared understanding and collective response to global issues. Films and television. International media content spread cultures, values, and narratives, influencing perception and fostering a global cultural exchange. Online platforms, websites, and apps enable global trade, education, and community building, driving economic and social integration. Overall, the media accelerates the blending of cultures, economies, and political perspectives, creating a more interconnected world.
Good day, sir. I am Deck Cadet Kent Arian Y. Costello, and I am here to discuss the dynamics of local and global cultural production. The dynamic between local and global cultural production is shaped by the interaction between localized cultural practices and global influences. Local cultural production. This involves cultural practices, traditions, and expressions that are specific to a particular region or community. Local cultural production is often deeply rooted in the history, language, and social norms of a place, and it reflects the unique identity of the community. Global cultural production. This refers to cultural productions and practices that transcend national boundaries, influenced by global trends, technology, and media. Global cultural production often involves large-scale industries like film, music, and fashion, which have the ability to reach and impact audiences worldwide. Interaction dynamics, influence and exchange. Local and cultures can influence global trends and vice versa. For instance, local music styles or traditional crafts may gain global recognition and be incorporated into broader cultural products. Conversely, global media can introduce local cultures to a wider audience, leading hybrid forms of cultural expression. Cultural adaptation. Local producers might adapt global cultural products to fit their own cultural context. For example, a global fashion brand might tailor its design to resonate with local taste and traditions. Power and equity. The relationship is often unequal, with global cultural producers like major entertainment conglomerates having a more influence and resourceful compared to local producers. This can lead to a dominance of global cultural products in local markets, sometimes overshadowing local traditions and industries. Preservation versus change. There can be tension between preserving local cultural heritage and embracing global cultural trends. While global influence can lead to cultural innovation and exposure, it can also pose challenges to maintaining traditional practices and identities. Overall, the interplay between local and global cultural production involves a complex balance of influence, adaptation, and power dynamics, shaping how cultures evolve and interact in a globalized world.
Pros and cons of globalization. So, pros of globalizations is one is access to new markets. So, globalizations give business the opportunity to expand into a new market, reach international buyers. Two of pros in globalizations spreads of knowledge and technology. In order to cooperate globally, companies must share similar technologies and economics. For example, allows companies to sell products worldwide through Amazon. Pros in globalizations enhance global cooperations and tolerance. So globalizations enhance cooperations by enabling countries to specialize. This allows them to leverage their economic strengths and trade those products for other resources. For example, country with South Africa that specialize in sugar cane can export into a developed country in exchange for manufactured of goods. So, number four, promotes economic growth. Studies have found that globalizations enhance economic growth by distributing resources more efficiently because countries can specialize in activities with cooperative advantages. It also promotes growth and indirectly through complementary reforms in terms of capital and financial development. So, cons. One of disadvantages or cons of globalizations is increased competition. So free trade can also increase a nation wealth and also increase the competition. So local businesses must compete with multinational corporations that produce cheaper of goods and lower costs, which puts them to disadvantages. At the same time, they increase their choices of impacts by buying behaviors as customers expect high quality products at like low prices. That means companies must continuously adapt and meet of demands. So one of the cons of globalizations number two is exploitations of labor and resources. Wealthy industrialized nations sometimes enter trade agreements with developing countries in order to exploit weak labor and environmental laws. For example, one, the United States has been known to use foreigns with sharp labor produce cheaper goods. So lack of environmental regulations in some developing countries also allows them to vary such as prices. So this result in both lasting environmental damage and human rights abuses. So so cons of number three in globalization is imbalanced trade. So ang imbalanced trade is also known as trade deficit occurs kung country spends more on imports, so nag-focus sa imports than it makes export. This is the country must make up their borrowing money from foreign lenders or permitting foreign investments its assets while leading to investment help promote economic growth. These strategies can be risky sad lang kaning kuan. So especially for developing countries, so in 90s, Thailand, Indonesia, and Malaysia ran a large trade of deficit and relied foreign capital to make up for it. So cons number four of globalizations, domestic job loss. So when industrial countries outsource labor, causes shortage of job domestically. So laborers whose skills are no longer demand, katong mga dili na demand ng skills, makakuha gito sila, matak-tak gito sila. So laborers whose skills are no longer demand experience higher employment, so nag-needs like new nga experience nga kuan gyud high lang experience, so mo tayo piliyon. So may na, so imbalance, so daghan mga employment and struggle to adapt the changes of labor market. So thank you.
Cultural diffusion. Media, particularly through television, film, and music, spreads cultural products and influences around the world. This can lead to homogenization of cultures as people become exposed to similar media content. Cultural appropriation. While cultural diffusion can be positive, it can also lead to cultural appropriation, where elements of one culture are taken and used by another without respect or understanding. Social and political movements. The media can be used to mobilize social and political movements, connecting people from different countries who share common goals. This can lead to global protests and campaign for social change. However, the impact of global media cultures is complex. While it can promote understanding and connection, it can also contribute to cultural homogenization, inequality, and the erosion of local cultural tradition. The challenge is to balance the benefit of global media with the need to preserve cultural diversity and promote social justice.
Globalization has significantly impacted media by breaking down geographical cultural boundaries, leading to both positive and negative consequences. Here's an overview of pros and cons of media in globalization. Pros. 1. Increase to access to information. Globalized media allows people to access news, education, and entertainment across the world. This fosters greater awareness of international events, cultures, and perspective. Cultural exchange. Media globalization promotes the exchange of ideas, traditions, and cultural practices, helping people appreciate diversity and learn from other societies. 3. Fostering global movements. Social media and global platforms can unite people for causes like climate change, human rights, and social justice, driving positive change on a global scale. Cons. Cultural homogenization. Global media can lead to dominance of Western or mainstream cultural content which may overshadow or marginalize local cultures, languages, and traditions. 2. Information overload and misinformation. The various amount of information available can be overwhelming, making it difficult for individuals to discern credible sources. Global media also spread misinformation and fake news more rapidly. Monopolization of media. Large multinational corporations may dominate global media, stifling local media outlet and provide less diversity in perspective and content.